Hello there. And we have another information vacuum, ladies and gentlemen. An incident took place in Plymouth last night, leading to now a murder manhunt. And the perpetrator is reportedly on the run, and the victim and the suspected perpetrator were known to each other. And of course, our thoughts should immediately be with the victim and any family and friends involved in this incident. Now, the breaking news is it has turned into a murder event, because from the Mirror, a murder investigation has been launched following the death of a woman in her 40s in Plymouth who had been found seriously injured in the street on Wednesday. So, Richard, we were initially told that this was just a person. They didn't even say the gender, and we know nothing at the moment about the alleged perpetrator, other than possibly known to the victim, who's now sadly died after being found injured in the street. And also there were worrying reports on X about multiple stabbings, all this sort of thing. And straight away, it should have just been, the police should have been straight out there. Let's say specifically it's a single victim. That would have cleared a lot of that up immediately. And I'm worrying about how fast the police are reacting to this sort of news. And I don't know, what's your thoughts?
No, I totally agree with you, Jeff. Again, there has been a vacuum in information being presented by the authorities, and that leads to speculation. And at a time when the country is pretty much a tinderbox, that isn't helpful. That really isn't helpful. As you said, I was reading last night about reports of multiple attacks taking place. To be honest with you, we don't know the full scale of this. We still don't know. Not enough information has been given and offered by the police, as far as I'm concerned. We haven't been given a description of the individual. Now, if there's a manhunt going, I mean, I remember years ago, if there's a manhunt for somebody, they say, look out for this person. He's on the run. He's armed and dangerous. This is the person you need to avoid. And if you do see them, please inform the authorities. That hasn't happened. As yet, that could happen, but right now, I don't know. These are the dangers of leaving information vacuums, because we don't know. I mean, it could be something entirely different, and there could be a reason why they're not saying. But again, that's speculation. We just don't know. And this is the danger. This is why we came on and did this video, Jeff, because we understand, after seeing what happened around the time of Southport, the repercussions of information vacuums. And that is the danger. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. The information vacuum thing is the big issue for me here. Now, I'm not saying we need to know everything right from the word go, because the police don't know everything right from the word go, but they do know the number of victims, I would think. Yeah. So it's either a single one. In this case, it's a single victim. I mean, I know they said someone was found. All they need to do is just, at the moment, reiterate the point. This is a single victim. It's that easy. And then move on from there. The other issue is, of course, the alleged perpetrator, whoever it is, might well be under 18. And we saw the repercussions that stifled the police in their ability to give out information. Maybe the CPS has once again said, you can't say anything because they're under 18 even. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying that is one of the possible issues. Now, if that's the case, maybe we need to change the law. Maybe we need to change the law so that there's a section or a statement that the police always put out when there are these sorts of issues that say information will be forthcoming under this particular section of the law, and please bear with us while we put this together properly for you. At the moment, all we're getting is sort of things thrown out ad hoc, it seems to me, as it goes along. It needs to be more proactive.
You believe that was it in the Mirror that it says the victim and the attacker were known to each other?
Well, no, that came from the police ages right back a few hours ago.
Right. Okay. It's okay. That is interesting. I haven't
And
actually seen
it's
that.
in the police statement somewhere, I think.
Right, I haven't actually seen that myself. If we can dig that one out, because that might
Well,
add a bit more light. I mean, it's awful that we, here we are discussing things like this about what will be an awful news to the friends and family of this victim. And
let's see. This is the sorry. This is the original statement, which I'm just going to which I've dug off the web, and it's
right,
just processing. This is from Devon and Cornwall Police. Because initially they said a person was found seriously injured in the street, treated at the scene, taken to Derriford Hospital. The pair are believed to be known to each other. It says there halfway down.
yeah,
So, so they already have possible name, possible. As someone put earlier in there, where's photo? He's still there, Richard Coombe. Where's photo fit these days, and that sort of thing.
yeah.
That's so. Yeah, and to say they've got a large police presence is, well, from what I've seen, is an understatement. Be honest with you, but so there you go. That's the that's that. Yeah, so they were known to each other. So why don't we know a bit more? If they're looking for someone who's done something like that, but they're saying they're not a danger to other people. I don't know. It's
I think lessons need to be learned. I think, which is the main thing to take away from this, is that, I mean, this is a major incident at the end of the day, because somebody has lost their life and somebody is clearly on the run. Okay, this is a major incident, and we have become desensitized to the fact that things like this are major incidents. Okay, if somebody has been attacked and unfortunately lost their lives, that isn't a minor incident. That's a major incident. The police swarming on the place says a lot about how they viewed the incident as well. So you can only read into this so much. But yet again, I'm very, very worried about how this is all going to pan out, because, again, you can just see it now that people like Starmer will be saying, oh, right, this is overreaction now by people on social media. We need to clamp down on social media. I think one of the things we have to learn moving forward, all of us, there's freedom of speech, okay? But right now, know that our freedom of speech is a weapon that's being used against us as well, by saying some things which are completely inaccurate on social media. And we just need to be a little more careful, I think, in what we say, if what we're saying is just highly speculative, and it could have a negative result in terms of someone like Keir Starmer taking advantage of such a thing.
It really worries people when they switch on their TV set or whatever, and they say they hear just round the corner from there, where they see all the flashing lights going, and they hear about multiple this and multiple that. So, at the end of the day, if you don't actually know, why are you plastering stuff all over the place? Now, if it does turn out to be true later on down the line, then we hold the police accountable and the government accountable for misleading us all and trying to, sugarcoat the whole thing. So all we're asking is that they come out with the information they can. If there's one victim, just say there is one single victim. Make it very clear, so that anyone who says anything else, you can point straight at that statement and say, no, there isn't.
Yes.
It's got to be that precise. It's got to be that definite, otherwise we are in danger of having social media smacked into. We have, that's why we're having this conversation. We do have as much responsibility when we go online these days. I mean, I'm not taking the side of Keir Starmer here, who wants to control us all. I'm just saying, let's be a little bit more thoughtful when we engage with social media.
But the point here, Jeff, is that Keir Starmer right now as well is looking for any excuse to call us all far right. Okay? So any sort of reaction to the news that is unsubstantiated, okay, unfortunately, we will be branded far right, and he will use it as a clampdown. This is a very hideous situation to be in a society. If this was, say, 20 years ago, we wouldn't be worrying about these things, and these conversations would be held as normal. But unfortunately, after Labour came into power, things changed. Anyway, but this is an awful, awful situation to be taking place. My heart absolutely bleeds for the friends and family of this poor lady who's lost her life, because that's what this is about at the end of the day. This is not about political point scoring. This is not about we're right, they're wrong, and all this. This is about, you know, a family right now will be grieving, and this is terrible, terrible news this morning. At the same time, we need to ask now that the police and the authorities do release a little bit more information, because gaps in information, unfortunately we have to make videos like this because gaps in information can result in quite substantial overreactions. Now then, I mean,
a few people. I will say that a few people in the comment section are sort of saying don't trust the police and all the rest of it.
Yes.
I'm not saying that I trust the police. I'm not saying I trust the police. What I'm saying, if they want to, let's frame it properly. If the police and the government want to regain our trust, then they have got to work at it and make sure they're handing out facts that we can immediately deal with and put to bed anything that might endanger our freedoms, because people are going off willy-nilly and saying things on social media that turn out not to be true. Not only are they putting themselves in danger, they're putting the rest of us in danger of losing all this because free speech gets clamped down on. That's all I'm saying. So we have to do our little bit to make sure that we don't give them that excuse by spraying misinformation into the internet. Just my thoughts.
No, I totally agree, Jeff.
Sorry, I just want to say thanks to Louise Owen. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, chaps. Love your show.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you.
Yeah. And Civil Defence UK, thanks again for your contribution. Glad I live on the Falklands. 0% crime on any scale. Sadly, I will be moving back to Manchester in May. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why you're coming back. It does seem a bit strange. There you
go. So I go through the comments here as well.
Yeah, BCAT says, we're sitting ducks, let's be honest. This is no longer a safe, civilized and high-trust society.
That's correct.
In certain parts of the country, where the rich, those sort, they look out the curtains, they read things like this, open their curtains into a nice leafy suburb and go, no problem here. What are they on about? And that could be not very far from where this incident took place. But I will say that so some of the places are safe and relatively civilized, but it's the high trust society we used to have. No one trusts the state. The state doesn't trust us, and doesn't even like us half the time. So there is a problem here. As I've said before, society is broken. We've allowed it to break because we now treat every single minority as absolutely the most important thing, and the majority can just go away, just F off, basically. And that's the way they do it.
Well, Jeff, you say that there are parts of this country which are safe. Yes, for now. For now. That's the problem we have, for now.
Yeah. Now, I'm not trying to protect the police or Labour Party or anything else like that. All I'm saying is that if we want trust, it works both ways. It's not just a one-way thing. And we've just got to be a little bit careful and not walk into the cinema shouting fire. It's
that's a very good way of putting it, Jeff. On the point of trust with the police, that is in the comments. There's a lot of people, saying that we don't trust the police, and well, that says a lot. Actually, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, of course. Oh no, I wouldn't be able to do that, would I? No, but the point here is, you can understand how that trust is completely gone. We've seen what happened over Southport, all right? So now we have a situation where tragic events like this, which appear on the outside, as we've been the information given by the authorities, that this is a single incident where one person, I believe this is now a murder investigation, Jeff, is it not?
Yes, that's according to the Mirror. It's now a murder investigation.
The Mirror and the authorities, this is now a murder investigation. So that means that the initial framing of this, of information that was presented, was that this is a major incident, as it was stated in the Daily Mail, for instance. That means that there was an ambiguity to the information presented, and we live in this age where people are not trusting the police. And there's good reason for that, let's face it. Okay, there's good reason for it. So I don't think...
Yeah, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything updated.
Yeah, I don't think we should be too surprised that there is overreaction by people on social media. So, Mr. Storm, if you're watching this, don't go and brand us all far right now, because there's been a bit of speculation on social media about a tragic incident. This is all your fault, Kia. We know what you kept quiet. We know you're capable of it. So this is your fault, Mr. Starmer. If there's overreaction now, it's your fault. People, you have completely, single-handedly destroyed trust in the authorities and in the police force. There was very little of it anyway, especially after what happened during the pandemic. But now it's gone. That trust is gone. So it's left to people like Jeff and myself to pick up the pieces and try and push for a better society, one where we can trust the police. Yeah. But we need the police and we need the authorities to be a little more transparent during this transitional period of regaining trust, we'll say.
Yeah. Thanks again, Civil Defence UK. He's come back with a statement saying 10-year contract coming to an end. That's why he's coming back to Manchester. Security for the armed forces on the island are on the Labour cutback list. That's another issue for another day, but defence of the nation, and you can see it coming. You know what's going through Lammy's mind about the Falklands, can't you? You can see it a mile off. Yeah. Anyway, back to task. Thanks very much for your contribution there. Sorry, I didn't actually mean to put that one up, but I don't think I'm going to make a very good Prime Minister.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Oops, I accidentally pressed that one. Make Jeff Prime Minister.
This is the one I wanted to put up, but it clicked up just before I hit it. From Motivational Humour Happiness. How long before Labour blame this on Amazon as well? Yeah.
It's also in the Daily Express there now saying that there's a murder investigation and paramedics are...
Any description of the alleged perpetrator yet?
I'm just looking for it now, Jeff, if you can't continue there.
Yeah, I will continue. No one can trust or have any faith in Starmer, says RP Astrology.
Yes, sorry, it's just saying male suspect. The two people were known to each other, and that it's... Yeah. We have a lot...
Sorry, they're trying to keep a lid on.
Detective Chief Inspector Dave Pebworth said, we have a large police presence in the area and inquiries are ongoing to locate and arrest the suspect. We believe this is an isolated incident and there is no immediate threat to the wider public. We would ask members of the public to please stay away from the West Ho area of the city while we continue the investigation. I mean, the thing is, that sounds fair enough to me. That does, I have to say, that does sound fair enough. There'd be a lot of people who got wound up as well last night on social media because of what took place there. And if the authorities are being true to their word, and this is a proper version of events that took place, then for once, I'd have to agree. Not with Starmer, but yes, I suppose. I can't say I agree. But you have to let the police get on with their job. I'm sorry, you do in this situation.
Yeah, well, the
gritted
Southport. Yeah, the Southport case, though, it looks like to me that there was some external tinkering with what was going on and the information flow coming out. I just don't know who to trust, you see, and this is the problem. We don't know what's going on. We don't trust our government to tell us what's going on. We don't trust the organs of state to tell us the truth about what's going on. We don't trust the mainstream press to actually tell us what's going on. They won't do any of the old-fashioned breaking news like they used to. It goes through manner of lawyers and manner of checks by, you know, the government are very quick to slap restrictions. They're quicker to slap restrictions on information going out than they are to think about putting information into the public domain.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's how trust is thrown away. That's how trust is.
I have heard so many different versions of what took place last night in Plymouth, or the early hours in Plymouth when it was, and I'm like, okay, this is very strange. I mean,
yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm just reading people, you know, saying, "Oh, this is a cover-up. We don't trust the police," and it's like, well, you've got good reason, I'm afraid to say, to not trust the police after what has happened. However, at some point, that trust needs to be regained, and the police have to work at this. We have to try and come together as a society. Otherwise, it's over. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but it will be over. There will be no point in trying to push for a united kingdom and united society if we are completely fragmented. And we need the police to come with us. We need the authorities to work with us. Do I trust them? No, I personally, I don't. I'm sorry. I have to say that's my point of view. I didn't want to say that, but I find it very difficult to trust after everything I've witnessed over the past few years. I can't trust it. But
Boo Boo J says, didn't years ago when there was any manhunt, name or description was released rather quickly for awareness and also for public health and also, public help. But also one of the other things they used to say is, do not approach this person, stuff like that, didn't they? So if we don't know who the person is, what they look like, then how do we know to stay away from them and to avoid them and to report them?
Well, the police have said that they don't believe this person is an immediate threat, isn't a threat to the general public at wide. So that this could have been quite easily just a situation where two people who knew each other, something terrible happened.
Crime of passion.
I don't know. We just don't know. Again, these are speculation. We just don't know. And this is awful, awful. But as you said, the fact that things are not released now, like a description, what does that do in the minds of you've got a nation now that has been completely lied to. And all we've had through the press is that we have been lied to, all right, about Southport, okay? So as soon as there's an incident where somebody's life is lost, we had, I mean, last night we had reports coming in on social media that there was a young girl involved as well in this that had been hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the police, if they're covering up something like that, then we do have a major situation on our hands, okay? Yeah. If this is a wider issue, then, my goodness, we do have a major problem. But none of that has been said by the authorities. So, and I'm not somebody who naturally, I can tell you now, I'm the least trusting person of the authorities right now. But we're going to play this by information that we've got.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, this is the one we're talking about. Yeah. She was taken to a hospital, Derriford Hospital, and died. And that's the case we're actually talking about right now. Because just to recap, what we're talking about here is not about the actual incident itself, more than about the way the information gets released during these incidents. Now, back in the day when the press would hand out the Sun newspaper, you know, you'd sell it for $1 on the street or whatever it was, you know, get your newspaper here and all this sort of thing, and go to the news agents. It was when I first went to work, that was what you did. The first call on the way to work or to get on the bus or wherever was straight into the news agent, pick up your favourite newspaper. And that's what we did. There was no internet, nothing. And of course, you already got that, and then you got the 6 o'clock news when you got home. That's it, sort of thing. Now you can just switch your phone on and you're bombarded with information about everything instantly. And we need to be up to date with all of this. We need, if people can have information now, they need to have the information they should have now. And that information dissemination should become much more important.
But the thing is, there was misinformation put out around the time of Southport. And funny, it was put out by the left mainly. But there was a lot of misinformation that was placed out on social media about Southport, things that were not true. That, for instance, that white people were attacking foreign persons with certain chemicals. That was put out on social media. That was misinformation. These things can't happen at times where there's vacuums of information. Anything can come out. Anyone can believe anything. And it's awful. Eddie does raise a good point here. Don't you see that the fascist pressure is actually starting to control you on what you say, and they're limiting yours and our freedoms? Yes, I do think that. And the point, I think, very much of this video is we have to be aware that what we say on here could have a major repercussion to our freedoms. If we were to come on here now and said that X, Y, and Z had happened, and our sole basis for knowing this was through social media and stating this, Starmer would be straight in there, curtailing our freedoms, curbing them. You know, that's what he wants. He wants to call us all far right. And I, as I said, a lady has died. This is awful, awful news in the morning. And we become so bloody desensitized to this happening in this country because it's the normal now. All you do is you hear about attacks in London, attacks here, attacks there. I think the difference here today is that this took place in Plymouth as opposed to in London city centre, or in one of our other major city centres where you'd expect this sort of thing to happen. And why would you expect such a thing to happen in London and other major cities in this country, in certain cities in this country? I wonder, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, this is from TT. This is a good question. If one person was stabbed by all the response and a major incident declared. Now, this is quite funny because at the end of the day, if you're in the police service and your job is something, you want to prove that you're still relevant, don't you? So everyone turns up because they're all available. They're obviously not monitoring Twitter hard enough. They're not on the, you know, aren't there streets to patrol elsewhere? Did they need that massive response? That's another thing. Does a police over response cause problems in itself?
Well, the thing is, I suppose they have to over respond. Now, I am actually going to not play devil's advocate. I suppose I am, whatever. The police do need to over respond because we're living in a day and age where you don't know if one attack could be a much larger and serious incident, because they are happening. We have had Southport. That has happened. We have had the Manchester Arena attack. That has happened. We had the attack on Westminster Bridge. That has happened. These things do happen. So the police have to over respond, I believe. So I will say that in favor of the police. I'm trying to be as, you know, a lot of people say, go on, Rich, go on, Jeff, go on, say what you want, what we want you to say, and say that this is all. No, we would be doing you a disservice. We have to try and give you the best.
Well, that's why we're having this conversation, so that we can sort of look at this, stand back and say, in reality, what would have been the best thing to do? Do we want to just rant off and have a great anger letting off of steam, and then if it causes a problem tomorrow, who cares? I've moved on to the next thing. You know, is that what we want, or do we want to think about what we're actually saying, where we get the information from? For me, Richard and I, we didn't just come on and go bleh. We sat for half an hour to an hour before we came online, and we looked at this, and we were arguing about how to approach this and what to say, how to do it. And of course, I was, as ever, right about everything.
Yeah, okay.
But we teased a lot of this out, and we said that, you know, how are we going to do this? So we didn't just come out and blurt out a load of stuff. We actually did a little bit of research. How many newspapers did we check? About a dozen. and we looked through. And then just before I pressed the live button, Richard came up and said, there is now a murder case. So I thought, right, I've got to change the entire thing I was going to say and now present it like that because we're flowing with the news. So, yeah, that is the whole point.
There are reports on social media so far that a child has been involved as well. I don't know the truth of that. We at the end of the day, we don't know the full extent of this until the authorities come out and say they can look. Here's the point. The authorities right now can see people speculating on social media. The first thing they should be doing is saying, oh, whoa. We know where this can go. We need to react immediately and quell any rumors. That is something, because things have changed now. Unfortunately, the authorities do need to do this to try and calm the situation down. Otherwise, what they need to do is, if there is a more serious situation that they're trying to put a lid on, then they need to somehow prepare us and be honest for that situation. I don't know. It's an awful bloody situation, to be honest with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. There's a question. I have to ask a real question. Do Brits freak out every time there's a murder, or is this a recent thing? No, we used to really freak out. Freak out because it was so infrequent a situation. It's become more and more frequent. And now it becomes more of a freak out when it spreads out of one of the major cities of the usual sort of kind, out of London. You know, if it happens in London, it's, oh, there goes another one. But this one seems to have sparked off a lot of interest because it's outside of the main thing. But I will say that it's also sparked a lot of interest because it's the first, as far as I can see, post Southport sort of incident outside, and people were straight in there with it. There's a child involved, they said, on the internet, on social media. That now, according to the police and the press, is not the case. And it wasn't the case. But that information could have come out earlier, I think.
They need to be doing whack-a-mole. They really do. If there's something which is not true, then they need to be whacking the misinformation straight on the head. But then again, I mean, do we trust the police and everything they say right now? No, we don't.
No, that's the other issue.
Unfortunately, that trust needs to be earned again. We have just been told, was it yesterday, that the police were gagged? Jeff, was that? Yeah. So you did a video on that yesterday. So the police, Merseyside police were gagged over information of a Southport. So we know that.
Well, that's what they're claiming.
It's forthcoming, I'll say. Go on, Jeff.
Yes. Anyway, that's sort of where we are with that one. Another story that really did grab my eye is in, I'll just go to the Telegraph, read the headline. Up to 1 in 12 in London is an illegal migrant. 1 in 12. So that means they reckon over 650,000 people in London. Let that sink in. 650,000.
Yeah.
What are they doing there? How are they sustaining themselves in their life? They need food. They need housing. They need healthcare. How's that all being facilitated? Where's that all coming from? And what are they getting up to? Why, are they your delivery driver, your delivery person on a motor scooter or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a huge number of people, 650,000
that they know of.
Yeah, that they know of. And they go on to say it's actually something like 1 million people. Yeah. Government must do more on deportations, as new estimates suggest more than 1 million people are illegally living in the UK. That's from the Tory graph.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it says here 585,000 equivalent. So I over-egged it a bit. Misinformation, ladies and gentlemen. I said 650. It's actually 585,000. So we're just not controlling our borders. Governments don't care. What was it? Oh, yes, I've got to look this one up. This is the SNP. The SNP have put out a massive publicity drive about wanting much more immigration, much more. So I just have to type this one in and just see what they've said.
Okay.
I caught it on X.
Go on.
No, I caught it on X, and
Right.
I'm just going to see if I can find it.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments coming through here. People are angry at the amount of people who are currently living in London illegally, living in this country illegally, and I wonder why, because apparently these people are not just economically inactive, that they are a cost to the economy. They are a cost to each individual who is watching this right now. And you might say, even if you're not working, you still pay tax. You still pay VAT.
Oh, you pay VAT, yeah, and if you buy petrol, you pay a load of tax on that, on petrol and diesel.
So everybody who is watching this now, you're paying for these people, and we all know it. We're all angry about it, and we're angry about the situation. By the way,
you're not allowed to be angry about it. You're meant to accept it all.
Yeah. By the way, this is completely what we're doing as we're going through the papers, because this is what we do every morning. This is not just about the morning show. Is not just about the single issue, which is this dreadful thing which happened in Plymouth, and what we're talking about now is completely unrelated, incidentally. But yes, the amount of people who are in this country. I mean, if somebody said this to you 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you'd be like, oh, what?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That can't be true. Now it's like, yeah, okay. Oh, we got 500, whatever, 1,000 people living in London illegal. Yeah, okay, whatever. Recently, I went to Oxford. I was talking to you yesterday about this, Jeff. And it was very sad to go there, because I went there many, many years ago. And it was a very different place. Oxford had changed. Oxford, you think of Oxford, you think, oh, the height of British English, British, of British, what's the word I'm looking for?
Culture.
Culture, yeah, it's more than culture, but there's an academic component, obviously. Go to sophistication. Yeah, okay, that's, you know where I'm coming from. So
yeah.
This is the image you have of Oxford, but going there, it was like, oh my goodness, it was very different. The demographics had seriously altered there. That's all I'll say on the matter. The demographics were entirely different, and it shocked me. And there was a very uneasy feeling walking around some of the streets there. I thought, oh,
no, that's your white privilege kicking in. You're just meant to accept it all.
Yeah, but I'm not fully white either, because I'm multi-international. So, you know, I've got Iranian heritage and Norwegian, and I'm an Iranian Viking. And Scottish, a lot of Scottish. Anyway, whatever.
Sorry, as I was saying, the SNP have just come out with migration strengthens Scotland. Migration is welcome, essential for tax revenues, for the sustainability of public services like our NHS, and for the future success of your businesses, whether as paid employees or paying customers. So they want just, my advice would be to start having more children. That would be my advice, and build for the future. That's where your future workers, your future employees, your future customers are going to come from. That's the way to do it. But the trouble is the Scottish education system is failing, so that's probably why they got problems.
No, Jeff, anyway. Jeff, no, I'm not having any more children, mate. I've done enough. I've done it. How am I going to sell this to my wife? She won't be happy at all. Sorry, darling. We gotta make more children.
Oh dear. Yes. Enough said about that. Anyway, but it's the whole problem here is that if we've got 585,000 people estimated illegally living in London alone, you've got to say that, you know, I wonder what the council tax in London is and how much that costs the people who live there and pay it because they're they're documented and can be charged that amount.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, I remember reading a report that someone put a drone up in the air over London and found that lots and lots and lots of back gardens had unexplained new buildings in them, looking like shanty towns. I don't know how true that was, but there you go.
Yeah, so something which knocked me as well, going back to the original post here about what's happened in Plymouth.
Yeah.
And misinformation.
Oh, sorry. I must say, the two subjects we've just talked about are completely disconnected, of course.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
But going back to the initial subject here about gaps in information, vacuums in information. This is in the Telegraph. It says here, Angela Rayner under pressure to apologise for suggesting Southport attacks were not terror-related. So it carries on. Former leader Nigel Farage demands Deputy Prime Minister retract claim he spread fake news. You see, this is the problem we have. Okay, we now have form, right, where the establishment, okay, will cover up, will say everything they can to make sure that very serious information is subdued. All right, for whatever reason that could be. Let me think. So when you have an incident of what now appears to be a very genuine and unfortunate, tragic incident of murder that has taken place in Plymouth, right? That means that gap of information, nobody trusts what the authorities are saying, okay? They're not. Nobody. Do I right now? I'm trying to trust what the police are saying, and I'm going to be going along the lines of what the police are telling me, because otherwise, if I start questioning the information presented, then first of all, that could be, thinking about it, that could be deemed as far right by people like Keir Starmer and the establishment. So, and misinformation, and again, more excuses for them to clamp down on us. But at the end of the day as well, it's also going to be quite upsetting to the family of this woman, because if the police are telling the truth now, and which we just got to assume they are, the family of this woman are going to be devastated. So what the hell are you talking about my family for, and saying that X, Y, and Z has happened? But again, gap in information. Please, authorities, we need information. The social media has exploded last night and this morning about this. And you know, if we don't know, we don't know. So that's where Jeff and I have to step in, unfortunately, because the authorities are not doing whack-a-mole with every little tweet, which they need to be doing. They need to say, no, sorry, this is put the whole thing to bed. Just put it all to bed.
Yeah, they have to be a lot more not assertive, but a lot more definite, and keep reiterating it. You know, we have heard constant reference to multiple. It's single one, you know, and that puts that one straight to bed. Because if it turns out to be a lie, if turns out they've lied later, then we can hold them to account anyway. They just need to tell us.
Yes. So, I mean...
Sorry, I've got to show this one. Here's a bit of misinformation. Starmer is a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, there you go. So, anyway, the number of people living in London, does that mean that we have overstretched what's the word? You know, hospitals and water supplies and electricity supplies and all the rest of it, and the sewage systems, because we don't know how many people live in London? I reckon that the authorities know exactly how many people live in London, because they can monitor this sort of stuff. They know that 10 years ago we used this much water, this much that. So if they project that on, they now know that there's another X number of people. They already knew that. So this is old news to them. It's whether they've actually built the infrastructure. That was the word, the infrastructure, to keep up. And if this goes on as it is, we're going to have to be building much more infrastructure than they're telling us we need to build. Why do you think they want to build over half the country with all these houses, with all this, with all these windmills and solar panels? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's like a lot of the time, Jeff, you know, I go through the newspapers. I don't really feel like doing it today. I will, maybe I should, just to give you an idea. We've got so much information overload going on, okay? And every day you get the newspapers, and a lot of the front of the headlines are filled with things like this. You know, I go to the Sun and it says, Mark and Sparks, Love Island's Grace reveals real reason split with Marcus Rashford as she bets silence. She breaks silence on their date.
Yeah,
I don't care. I just don't care. It's rubbish. It's utter rubbish. I'm clicking straight off that. I'm not going to read any further. I don't, you know, this is, why is this important information? Why? But apparently it is. And there's another one about Holly Wilbury, or whatever her name is, Wilbury. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Today I'm just too, I've got nothing to say in it. And I get one information, one did sort of stand. I'm like, okay. In the Daily Mail, what do the global elite reveal to Davos nookie workers will say? Yes, because in Davos there's a lot of ladies of the night who apparently, and gentlemen of the night as well, who come in there. They're flown in to service the needs of the elite. So it says here, high-class escorter spills the beans on what has happened behind closed doors and how the wealthy know the world is doomed, so may as well go out with a bang. Yeah, quite interesting. Well,
go out with a bang. Yes.
Yeah, literally.
So. Yeah. Anyway, what I'm going to bring you some good news. I'm going to bring you some good news.
Please.
It turns out that Tesco, Aldi, Lidl, the Co-op they've all joined with Morrison's, Sainsbury's, and Asda. No, not to make a big new superstore. No, they're all backing the farmers. Yep, they're all backing the farmers. And in the Times, it actually says that supermarkets unite to back farmers' inheritance tax protest. Almost every major supermarket chain has publicly backed farmers in their fight against the government's inheritance tax increase after coming under pressure from protesters. So the protesters in their big, large, powerful tractors go to the supermarkets, and the supermarkets see sense. Protests do work. Especially if you've got a large tractor. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is fantastic news. That's, yeah. We all need to be supporting our farmers, and hopefully the supermarkets will come on side. That's what we want. Everyone needs to come on side with this one. Yeah.
And Tesco's chief commercial officer, Ashwin Prasad, said, we need a pause in what's going on while a full consultation is carried out. And this is the thing. There was never a full consultation. It was just Labour coming in and saying, they've got land that we want. How can we get it? Tax them into the ground. Then we can get the land and we can build houses on it. And all
this
the
is
rest
our
of
food security, as has been rightly said.
They don't care about food security. Good Lord, they're happier without us having food security. The Labour Party do not want us to be secure in food or energy or defence. Look at what they're doing. But that's the same as the Conservatives. They broke the system, and now Labour is just grinding what's left into the floor. They don't want any of that because they want us back under the EU rules, where they tell us what to do, and we all join together to defend Europe, and we all join together with the new and generate electricity together. You get the idea. That's what they want. They don't care about this nation, and theirs is an internationalist thing. The whole system is internationalist. It's not for the UK. They just expect us to pay for our own demise. They want us to pay to destroy our own country. And it's criminal. Anyway, there you go. That's Jeff in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I just think we need to wrap this up now, Jeff, because I think we just to conclude here, something terrible happened.
Well, yeah, you say. I just want to point out one more article that caught my eyes from the Times. if you remember Keir Starmer's speech the other day, and he was talking about this this new threat, and that we're going to have to change all the terrorism laws so that we can cover these individuals who go on the web and all this sort of thing. Well, according to Jonathan Hall of the Terror Watchdog, I'm trying to find out exactly what that's called. He says that changing the rules in such a way would overwhelm the system. We just haven't got the ability to monitor them all.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, let's think about that.
Yeah.
Let's think about that. This tells me that the Terror Watchdog knows that there's a massive problem. But if we change the law to deal with that massive problem, it's going to overwhelm us.
Yes. Yeah. That should, that says a lot in its own right. Yes, totally. Totally.
Have I read this wrong?
No, I read that myself, and I was like, oh my goodness. So the system cannot cope with the amount of people that this would
it can't cope already, surely.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I mean, it's already proved it in Southport. It could not cope with the one person, with someone who was on the lists, who was reported to prevent 3 times, whose father got him out of a car to stop him going to school with a knife.
Yes.
This has all happened. And that didn't happen. Nothing. So if we end up with loads of people out of the 585,000 in London, and if some of those have evil intent and we don't even know who they are, this is what happens when you don't control your borders.
Well, could it be that they've been deliberately keeping out, they've been deliberately maintaining the previous definition of terrorism so that they don't actually have to expand it to include all the potential people out there who are a threat to this nation? That's the other side of it.
Yeah.
Sounds ludicrous, and I'm not doing a sticking up for Starmer Day here. Probably thinking, you're sticking up for Starmer. Like, no.
Yeah.
This is we have a major situation on our hands. We don't know a lot of the people who are in this country, their motivation, aside from homegrown, not very nice people, we'll say. Yeah, homegrown ones.
Yes. Yeah, we do have our own problems, definitely.
Very different ideas of what society should be. I'm being very diplomatic here.
But a lot of people would turn around and say, Axel Rudakabana was homegrown. He was born in Wales. Sorry, he was born here and he lived in Wales. He went through the education system, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, and as you know, when you get school reports, don't you, and stuff like this, it's all documented. But there again,
there's more to his background than that. But apparently, apparently there's far more to his background.
So we knew all that.
So Welsh choir boy.
If we knew all that, and it failed, comprehensively failed, just basically, as far as I can see, on a sort of demographic brick wall. Once you hit that demographic brick wall, you're not allowed to go any further. Yeah, you're not allowed to do it because it's racist. What are we going to do with the people we don't know about?
Yes.
Just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, I think you're right, Richard. It's time for us to go, and I need another cup of coffee.
Yes.
Because I'm gagging for a coffee.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very difficult video for us to do today. As I said, we were expecting a few comments where people were saying, you're just trusting the police and all that. And it's like, it's not about trusting the police or not trusting the police. It's about being wise as serpents. That's the way I'll describe it. Yeah, we need to think about what we say before we say it, because somebody's about to clamp down on us if we're not careful.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And do I trust the authorities? No. But I'm trying.
Yeah.
Not working.
Well, I'm not. I'm just offering a few sort of ideas. We're offering a few ideas as to how they can regain our trust. They have to regain our trust. Really do.
Yeah. Information vacuum. You know, it's been talked about in the House of Commons, for goodness sake. People are saying good grief. responding to Yvette Cooper the other day, the Tory shadow, whatchamacallit. He said, look, you've got gaps in information. Why wasn't information released? It was it could have prevented what we'll call the Southport riots. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yet you have another situation where you've got people talking on social media saying things that may or may not be true, that could be inflammatory. So the police should be, and I know people said they should be there in an instant. They should be there in an instant, whacking them all, saying, no, this is not true. And we've got a serious ongoing incident investigation. Otherwise, people are going to think they're covering up. But right now, we don't know anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyway, nothing to see here says the Ministry of Information. Maybe we need a Ministry of Truth. And on that note, I will say it's good morning from me.
And good morning from him. Good morning.
Good morning.